Hey guys, it's Brian. We're back in the garage with the Frostbite JL, and today we're going to be adding some protection to the Jeep. Let's take a look. Alright guys, so we're going to be adding some protection to the rear axle in the form of some lower control arm skids. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. This first set's going to be from Evo Manufacturing. These are going to be their rear lower control arm and shock mount skids. So these are pretty cool. I installed something similar on my brother-in-law's Jeep, and those were the R-Tech ones. Those are pretty cool. I like these Evo ones because they have a ramped section in the back for the shock, and then that'll protect the shock a little bit more. I have hit these several times, so it'll be good to get these on. And they do come powder coated, which is nice. Alright, and now for the next set, this is going to be at the frame side for the lower control arms. These are going to be from Rusty's Off-Road, and these are pretty cool. These are the only ones I was able to find that were like these. Alright, and what's cool about these is these go right up on the frame. These protect the frame side lower control arm mount. It does come with a new pinch bolt and a new lower control arm bolt at the frame, which is pretty cool. These do come raw, so you do need to paint these. I just did a few coats of rust oil. Should be fine. I have hit these several times on the trail, and I've even bent one of them on the driver's side. So this is definitely needed. It does come with new hardware like we were saying, which is nice, and they do have the locking nuts, which is good as well. So as far as installing these guys, you're going to need a 21mm for the control arm bolts, the factory ones. You'll need the 22 for these new ones for the frame side for you. And then you're going to need an 18 for pulling the shock, and then a 19 for these pinch bolts for the Rusty's brackets. And then it doesn't hurt to have a little Loctite. I'll put those on the factory bolts. Alright guys, this should be a pretty quick install, and it should protect those brackets for us. So let's go ahead and get them installed. So we're back here at the rear axle, and what we're going to do is we're going to install the Evo brackets first, then we'll do the Rusty's ones at the frame. So for these ones, what you do need to do is remove the shock bolt at the lower end here, and then your lower control arm bolt, and then this guy's going to slide right over this, and you'll reuse these bolts. So for this, I do recommend you bring a jack in and put a little tension on your pinion. What that'll do is relieve tension at the control arm. You'll be able to slide your bolts in and out a lot easier. That way you're not going to have to tweak it at all. So this is pretty easy install. So this one's going to be a 21mm for you, and then this one's going to be an 18. So we'll pull those out real quick and we'll throw these guys on. If you take a look, I have hit these several times, especially over on that passenger side one. Alright, so as you can tell, these will definitely be a nice upgrade. They will protect those lower control arms at the axle side, and they'll also protect the shocks. One of the things I liked about this over the R-Tech one was this ramped section for the shocks. What that'll do is protect this bottom section here. I definitely have hit this, so it'll be nice protection for us. So let's go ahead and install these real quick, and then we'll get to the Rusty's ones. As you can see, we did put a little tension with the jack on the pinion, and our little eyelet here for the joint is perfectly lined up. If we didn't have that tension on there, the axle has a tendency to roll, and we'd be fighting getting that bolt back in. So now let's go ahead and clean this up. I might touch it up a little bit, spray paint since it is rusty, and then we'll throw that new bracket on. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and throw that Evo bracket on. We did go ahead and get it all cleaned up. Did go ahead and clean it and then spray paint it so we can get some of that rust taken care of. Now we can go ahead and throw our bracket on. It'll be real easy. I'll just kind of line it up here. Okay, so that one did take a little persuasion. I'm assuming it's because I've hit that bracket several times. It's probably not quite square like it used to be. So now let's go ahead and we'll throw our 21mm bolt back in, the factory bolt. We're going to put a little blue Loctite on this and torque it to 90 foot-pounds. Then we'll get the shock installed. So now that we have the 21mm bolt in, we're going to go ahead and throw the 18mm bolt in for the shock. You might have to get a little screwdriver and pry it up a little bit to line it up. Then we're going to slide this in. I do go ahead and flip these from the orientation from factory so that the stud is facing inwards towards the wheel. That way you don't have it sticking out this way and you're not catching it on rocks. So let's go ahead and we'll throw this guy in. This one gets torqued to 74 foot-pounds. We'll be all done with this side. We'll throw the other side on and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, here we go. Okay, now that I've got it installed, we're going to go ahead and torque those guys real quick. One more time, it's 90 at the control arm bolt and then 74 at the shock. Then we're all done with this side. I do like how it turned out. That factory bolt for the lower control arm joint is just barely long enough with this bracket. It does come out the nut a little bit, so it should be okay. We did put Loctite on it, that'll be fine. They do make this from Rusty's as well, and it does give you new bolts that are a little bit longer that would be a little bit better. But this should be fine. Let's go ahead and we'll install our other one and we'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so we went ahead and got all the Evo brackets installed down here at the axle. They went on pretty easy, just needed a little tap with the dead blow. Everything lined up good. We got all the bolts torqued. I think these are going to be a great option. They do protect those lower control arm mounts, and then they lose a little bit of clearance, but it's not much. The protection's definitely worth it. So let's go ahead and throw the last Rusty's one on. Okay, so this is where the Rusty's one's going to go. It's going to sit up there just like this. It does have that pinch bolt, the 19 millimeter, and then we've got the new bolt that's going to replace the factory 21 millimeter. So all we got to do is go ahead and pull this 21 millimeter real quick, and then we'll throw this guy on. Okay, so now that we have that off, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up with a little paint as well, just like we did on the other side. We'll get this touched up and we'll throw that new bracket on. Alright, now that we have it all touched up, let's go ahead and we'll slide our new skid on there from Rusty's. I'm going to take that 19 millimeter, thread that guy through. Then we'll line up our control arm, and then we'll take our bigger 22 millimeter bolt here. Get that through. Can I get this in place here? So I'm going to torque down the control arm bolt first. This one's going to be 90 foot-pounds, just like the lower ones. And then this one, I just get it tight until it just about deforms the bracket on the other side. And then it's nice and snug. You do want to kind of hold it up into position like this. And then we'll get these tight, and then we're all set. We'll show you what it looks like when we're all done. Okay, so one thing to note, I am finishing up over here on the driver's side. And I have hit this bracket so many times that it's bent inwards. I can't get my control arm out of there. So what I'm going to have to do is bend the bracket back and then go ahead and touch it up with some paint. And then we can go ahead and get our new Rusty's slider on for you. So this is one thing to note. You do hit these quite a bit if you're doing harder trails. So getting these Rusty's sliders before this happens would probably be a good idea. I am looking forward to getting them on there. They will give me a lot of protection, and then I can just touch them up with some paint and we're good to go. So let's go ahead and we'll bend this back and we'll fit that new bracket on. Okay guys, that's going to do it for the install of my Evo and my Rusty skids for the lower control arms. It was really easy. Just had to go ahead and bend back that one bracket that I messed up. So I recommend doing this before you smash up brackets. So I did go ahead and lose a little bit of ground clearance with those Rusty's and Evo skids, but it's not a whole lot. The Rusty's ones are 1/4 inch thick, which is about twice as thick as the factory ones, and the Evo ones are 3/16. So definitely got a lot of extra protection down underneath there. That's good because I tend to smash those. Alright guys, go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out the links down below, and we'll see you on the next one.